What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So back again, once again, for another season preview. This time we're going over the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're going to take a look at the roster, at the schedule, as well as give you my projected stars, and finally a prediction on how they're going to do next season. First and foremost, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. It means a lot. It's always much appreciated, much obliged, and really helps the channel grow. So I'd hope you do that. Big news if you haven't heard. I'm been given the opportunity to collab with a bunch of the different football content creators here on YouTube. Hopefully it looks like it could be big. It feels big. It feels great. Like, I'm super excited. It all will officially launch at the beginning of July. And I'll leave some of the the social media handles in the description below. That way you can keep up to date when everything does go live. And yeah, it's just, if you're a big football fan, then you're gonna get a heavy dose of football just content. You're gonna get a bunch of different just analysis, and especially from some team specific YouTube creators. It'll be great. I'm so happy to be a part of it. Here's a quick little teaser trailer if you haven't already seen it. But yeah, go ahead, follow us on Twitter and whatnot, Instagram, all that stuff, just so you can keep up to date. And again, sick. Dude, like, no lie, I'm giddy with joy. Also, Madden content should be on the channel next week. I should have, hopefully by this weekend, everything recorded for at least the beginning of that. And then I do have NCAA 14 now, so I'm gonna try to whip together, see if I can do a dynasty with a creative team. And hopefully that's something y'all really like, because I really love NCAA 14. I know there's some guys that do NCAA 14 content, like Not the Expert and stuff. They have a blast with it. I probably poured the most hours of my life into that game. I love building building a dynasty, the recruiting aspect to that game. Honestly, it really left a hole in my heart when they discontinued making it, because, just let's be honest, man, Madden and franchise mode, it ain't the same. Plenty of draft content coming to the channel. Keep in mind that at the end of this season preview series, I'm going to give you my playoff predictions that will, well, obviously come from these season previews. That's where I'm getting the projected stand-ins. And after that, I'm going to give you a 2021 mock draft, and hopefully in about a month and a half, I'll have my newly expanded and updated rankings before the college football season kicks off. And then I'm going to try to get more college football content on the channel in general, so looking at other things I could do with that. But let's go ahead, let's dive in. I've been talking too much. I mean, I guess not. Let's talk about the Eagles. That's what you came here for. So look at the roster. Carson Wentz, we know him. He's good. Beautiful arm. I'm just waiting for the year. Like, I want him to return back to, was it 2018 that he suffered the injury? I want to say it was, but I'm not completely positive. Things you should now. Y'all know I'm a geek and love me some anime, whatever. But he had a banger of a year before going down with the injury, and last year was kind of, well, it wasn't bad by any means. Yeah, it was in 2018. It felt more middle of the road. He felt more like, okay, yeah, he's like a top 16, top 14 player, but this guy, honestly, he has top 10 potential. He can be an elite quarterback. Like, I think he is on the fringe of that, and he has the perfect roster to do so with that. I love the additions they made in the draft, especially at the wide receiver position, because we saw their vertical threat there, Deshaun Jackson, go down with injury, not being able to get back on the field. Alshon Jeffrey struggled with injury as well. He's a little bit of both. He's kind of your prototypical X wide receiver, but he is getting a little long in the tooth. They were kind of hoping that their third round pick from 2019, JJ Arthur-Whiteside, could come in and fill in immediately. That didn't really work out either, but I mean, keep in mind he's still a rookie. He was a rookie. Hopefully he'll be better this season, but they made so many additions, and like they made an emphasis on speed. Jalen Reagor, a guy I was very high on in the draft, a guy that I said got like this guy, he separates like no other. And if he has a competent quarterback, which guess what, Carson Wentz, a little more than competent, then he should be. He could have been a stud. He should have been a like maybe a top 15 pick, but he ended up being able to slide. I guess not really slide. That was kind of where he was projected to go, but made it to the Eagles. That was a great move. They brought in Jai Hightower, another guy I was very high on, another vertical threat, very good hands. Needs to put on a little weight, kind of thin frame, so he might be more of a projection. Brought in Marquise Goodwin from the 49ers. The guy, he's a few seasons removed from actually being very productive, but you know what he can do vertically. I mean, Greg Ward was very solid last season. Granted, I'm still a guy kind of learning the position. Watkins, they brought in from Southern Miss, who, that guy can fly. I mean, it's just super interesting what they did in the draft, what they did with the offseason, the emphasis on speed. They want this offense to be fast. I like it. They got a tight end in Zach Ertz. He can stretch the field vertically if he wants to, if he chooses so. Dallas Goedert, he's pretty darn good in his own right. They're filled with weapons, even in the backfield. Miles Sanders had a solid rookie season, and now it looks like he's going to be entrenched as the starter. Granted, that's never been Philadelphia's thing to just feed one running back. Might see some Boston Scott, maybe Corey Clement. I doubt it. Maybe depending who sticks to the roster between Michael Warren and Adrian Killins, two guys that got a lot of speed, but it's hard to see anyone taking snaps away from Miles Sanders. It almost feels like he's gonna get lead back bell cow type of carries, so that'll be interesting. And guess what? He's running behind the right offensive line for it, because Jason Kelsey, probably the best center in all of football. Don't sleep on Isaac Seumalo. He's actually been very solid just last season. He was by no, like, in the nicest sense of the word, he was probably the weakest part of the offensive line last year, before obviously Jason Peters went down, but he was actually still pretty darn, like, he was very good. Especially he was a very good run blocker. He was solid pass blocker. Like, if that's the weakest part of your offensive line, then you're doing a-okay. But Andre Dillard is taking over the left tackle role. He was coming into the draft from Washington State, kind of like toted, I guess the word looking for, as a premier pass protector. He has a lot of true pass blocking snaps coming from Washington State back when they had the air raid offense of Mike Leach. But I expect him to do much better. He did have a bit of a rocky year, but I expect him to be better. Lane Johnson, as long as he can maybe have a fully healthy year. This offensive line looks phenomenal with maybe Andre Dillard if he doesn't progress at all, which I highly doubt it. They have interesting building blocks in Prince Tango Wanagoho, a guy with a lot of upside, but he's still kind of new to the position, to football in general, actually. But high upside. I loved the pick of Jack Driscoll, and it looks like they might be trying to play him at guard. I think if Lane Johnson were to go down, he should be the guy that they implant at right tackle. He is phenomenal. He's very technically sound. He was much better than Prince Tango Wanagoho. The guy, he's always produced well, whether it was when he was at UMass or going to Auburn. I like him a ton. That was just a great pick. We could talk about Jalen Hurns, but I don't think you'll see the field too much. I mean, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him, but I don't think it's going to be much. So the offense, I'm in love. I think this is a very deep team. Going to the defense, guess what? Finger licking good. got questions some places though. Defensive line is not one of them. I love the defensive line. Brandon Graham, one of the most underrated edge rushers in the league. The guy, he may not always get big sack totals, but he gets pressure. The guy has a win rate around 15%, which makes you, guess what? Above average, solid, reliable. I love reliable. And then Derek Barnett, kind of, I don't know. Like it feels like he's kind of plateaued a bit. But I guess we'll see this year. I mean, it's not like he's bad. He's just not getting pressure. But it is what it is. They have Josh Sweat, who actually produced very well. Hopefully, they started him at the beginning of the year on the right side, and I think he played a lot better coming off the right side. Like he just didn't get too many pressures when they moved him to left, and they did that maybe like I think early on, maybe like week 7 or week 8. He just didn't play as well as I thought he did when he was on the right side. Really, I mean, Sharif Miller, a very interesting guy they brought out of Penn State. So maybe him getting a little bit more snaps, that would be pretty dope. So they got options. Jannard Avery, a guy they brought over from Cleveland just was it last season, the season before? I don't know. I can't recall. He didn't get too many snaps last season. He only got like 34, I think. 34, only played in 6 games. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with him this year. Like, they got options. I like options. And then on the interior, matching Fletcher Cox with Javon Hargrave, who's been I don't know why not a lot of people talk about Hargrave. He was been one of the most dominant centers. Wow. Nose tackles. There we go. Zero techs in the league. I'm gonna get flack in the comment section. I know I am, man. I remember, was it the Jets video? I accidentally called Connor McGovern a safety, though I was talking about the offensive line. I knew it was center. People like getting on my nerves like that. But he's really good. He pushes the pocket extremely well. So those two scary. You still got Malik Jackson on that roster. Ridgeway, solid depth piece. A guy I'm interested to see, hopefully might be a practice squad guy, is Raquel Williams, who doesn't bring a lot as pass rusher from the interior, but he was a very good run defender, and I expect him to kind of be his thing in the NFL. So yeah, defensive line, guess what? It looks good. Going on to linebacker, this is where it feels thin, but boy, they addressed it in the draft. Oh boy. TJ Edwards, he was very good last year in his rookie year. He is definitely going to be the starter, but then it's like, okay, who will start next to him? You could say Duke Riley. He didn't see much of the field last year. Nathan, what was it, Gary? He saw like 600 snaps last season. And he was okay in them. Like, he was fine. Yeah, 669. You can't really say nothing about him. He was adequate. But I like the addition of Jatavius Brown, a guy that's been very underrated. He was beat up last year, but I think he could come in and he will sneak in. He'll sneak in snaps. I think, honestly, behind Edwards, he might end up being the other guy to have the most snaps at the linebacker position. He's very skilled, very slept on. And then you have the rookies there, Sean Bradley, who probably could be a nickel to dime linebacker if they want him to be. I think that's where he'll excel in coverage. Then Davion Taylor, who was kind of viewed as a value brand Isaiah Simmons. I don't think that's really the case, but a guy that is very athletic. He's like a heat-seeking missile. And it's strange because at Colorado, he was lined up in the slot a lot, kind of sort of. So it'll be interesting to see how they use him. They might choose to develop him and bring him in slowly. Dante Olson's pretty interesting, a guy that athletically blew up the combine, but you don't really see it on tape. Like, he looks like a traditional linebacker, a very sure tackler, but he has sneaky athleticism. So it'll be interesting. Like, it's a very interesting linebacker group. It's not as I don't think there's really a name to hang your hat on, but I don't think they will be a weakness this year for this squad. Where I question will be the secondary. Darius Slay was a huge upgrade, great acquisition there. Ronnie McLeod, he's very reliable. He's very solid. But losing Malcolm Jenkins hurts. Jalen Mills will be interesting. See how putting him at safety. But I mean, even behind him, you got like Will Parks, who he's pretty darn good. Like honestly, if things go downhill with Mills, Will Parks I think would be fine to come in to start or sneak in some snaps. Getting Kavon Wallace I thought was really solid move, but he's more than likely going to be a slot guy, so he's probably going to wait for Robbie Coleman to kind of move on from this team, because that guy's going to be slot. He's a pretty darn good slot corner. So my question is, okay, you can say Jalen Mills, but I have a little bit of confidence in Will Parks if they need him to come fill that role. It's really going to be who's going to be starting on the other side of Darius Slay. You could say Maddox, but he wasn't that great last year. It was pretty darn bad. I thought Sidney Jones outplayed him. I really wish Sidney Jones got to be on the field more than he did. He was only on the field for 293 snaps. I think he deserves to be. I'd like to see him more on the field. Who else they got there? So Douglas, he was terrible. Oh, dark horse here. Trevor Williams, a guy that if he can stay healthy, a lot of talent in this guy. Kind of ideal for a cover 3, I think. And I mean, he played well when he was given the opportunity to with the Chargers, and they kind of like their zone, but he's just got to build that. I think cover 3, just get in the guy's face. I think he could do well in that. So it'll be interesting to see who kind of edges out. I'd like to see more Sidney Jones, but see, probably could be Trevor Williams. So the defense, while there may be some questions here and there, there's a lot of names though. A lot of names, a lot of opportunities, a lot of possibilities. I like this defense. Let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule. Obviously, you get to face the Giants and the Redskins twice a year, which you would think, oh yeah, that's easy breezy. But typically, weirdly enough, the NFC East, they play each other extremely well. So those aren't gimme games. Then you got Dallas, which you had a weird relationship with last year. After getting just pounded, you come in and get a much needed victory, get you to the playoffs. Then you have to face the NFC West. Very tough division. Probably you got the Cardinals, who are ascending. DeAndre Hopkins, man, that's scary. And then the Rams, they kind of got that chip on their shoulder from last season. Seahawks are always good. The Niners should be really good. I mean, they only went to the Super Bowl last season. And then from the AFC, you got to go ahead and face the AFC North. Pretty tough division in general. Actually, outside of the NFC West, I think that might be the toughest division in football, because Baltimore's good. Big Ben is back. Steelers are going to be good. Joe Burrow, he's now in Cincinnati. That team should be on the rise in theory, because Joe Burrow, guess what? He might look like the real deal and be like, it was only one season at LSU. But still, he showed that was one heck of a season. And then on top of that, Baker Mayfield and the Browns, they're playing with that chip on their shoulder from last season, where they were like, oh man, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. What happened to us? 6-10? So they're probably going to be playing much better. And then on top of that, you got games against the Green Bay Packers, which, yeah, they didn't really add much to this team this year, but they were still pretty darn good. And then the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, no, the New Orleans Saints right there in my face. Which Drew Brees, that team is very scary every year. So, yeah. Woof, that's a rough schedule. That's a tough schedule. Yeah, that sucks. So let's just go ahead. Let me say go ahead once more. Let's just go ahead and take a look at my projected starters, and then I'll get into how I think y'all are going to do next season. And of course, with starters, we're going to start with Cameron Wentz, and then Miles Sanders, of course. Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson will be, I think, obviously your starters, with a sprinkle of a lot of Jalen Reagor. Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, very good tight end duo. And then I got Dillard, I got Simalu, Kelsey, Brooks, Lane Johnson. Hopefully he could stay healthy. On defense, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, scary in the middle. And then you got Brandon Graham, who's scary in his own right, with Derek Barnett. And then I have TJ Edwards. I got Jatavius Brown right now. Like I said, it's just a guy I'm kind of high on right at the moment. Darius Slay, Sidney Jones, but maybe Trevor Williams. I think Trevor Williams, he has a good shot at it. Nikel Roby Coleman, Ronnie McLeod, and Jalen Mills for now. So overall, a very solid team. Let's just go ahead into the record because, like I said, it's a very tough schedule, but I'm very high on this Eagles team. I like this Eagles team a lot. I think a lot of this Eagles team. I got them at 10-6, and you might be like, only 10-6? It's a heck of a tough schedule. So calm down. I think 10-6 is good. It's going to get you to the playoffs, so why does it matter what your record is? You're in the playoffs. But I think that's safe given how tough that schedule is. How many times am I going to say how tough that schedule is in this video? Well, I can guarantee you by the end of this video, you'll know how tough that division or that schedule is. But let me know what your opinion is in the comment section below. And that's it for the video. Go ahead and do the YouTube thing. It's always much appreciated, much obliged. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.